We got a lot of fellas out there that might want to know where Sylvia is originally from.
Harlem.
Yeah, Harlem, USA.
That's right.
Sylvia, you stayed in New Jersey after the Mickey and Sylvia team.
Right, I moved to Englewood, New Jersey.
Yeah, 1969 was the year that you started your own all-platinum label.
Right, I wanted to open up a studio and be able to do my own thing the way I wanted to.
Sexy.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Give it to me now, baby. Come on, sexy mama. Come on, lay back and let me soothe you. I said groove. Now move, move, move.
This is an integrated, wealthy area of New Jersey. The people who live in this house have made it. To use their own words, they beat their way out of the ghetto with a baseball bat. Joe Robinson and his wife feel very much black Americans and not accepted by the white community. I asked them why.
Because the white man in America refused to let you become part of it. They refuse to let you become part of the economical end, the social end,
or the political end.
Or the political end.
When you're living in an integrated area in New Jersey?
Not because they want me here, because they couldn't help from me moving here. They don't want me here.
What is the answer to this problem of racial strife, racial intolerance?
I don't think there's any answer to it. I really don't. I'd like there to be an answer to it, but I don't think there will be. People of one kind tend to stay to one kind. They don't want to mix with other people. There's always going to be this segregation or this feeling of one better than the other. I think
unless the white man in America comes to his senses and realizes that the black people in America are human beings, not cattle to be progged and water hoses turned on them and all these gas and things like that. And until that happens, there's always going to be problems in America.
The year 1968 was a time of turmoil, but it was also the era of slow drag dancing and red light basement parties, while the sounds of the Intruders, Billy Stewart and the Moments crooned from a record player in the corner. The Moments, at least the original group, were from Washington, D.C. Their hit, Not on the Outside, shot to number 13 on the R&B chart in mere weeks of its release. Mark Green's sweet falsetto melted hearts with lines like, "So you think, my heart's made of stone, and when you're near me, there's no reaction. Well, you're wrong." In the background, harmonizing with the fellas was the producer. This wasn't her first time behind the boards. By 1968, she was a veteran who had produced sessions for Ike and Tina Turner and Bo Diddley. However, she was uncredited for much of her previous work. In a 1981 interview with Black Radio Exclusive, dug up by writer Dan Charnas, she said, "I paid for the session, taught Tina the song. That's me playing guitar." She said of the Ike and Tina session for their hit, "It's gonna work out fine." But to her shock, the only name that appears in the credits is label owner Juggy Murray's.
Yes, yes, I think it's gonna work out fine. It's gonna work out fine.
But This session with The Moments would be different. The Moments was signed to her new label, All Platinum Records. This was her chance to shine. And she did. Sylvia Robinson had an eye for talent and an ear for a hit. She had magic ears. Staff writer Leslie Valentine wrote most of the smash hit Love on a Two-Way Street, and she also did the original recording, though Valentine would be uncredited for decades. To Sylvia, Valentine's voice lacked that special something that Sylvia was hearing in her dreams. She wanted to give it to someone else. She had the perfect group in mind, The Moments, who were at that time Mark Green, Richard Gross, John Morgan, and Eric Olfus Sr. But this was a group that she was having serious problems with. They constantly argued with her about money. Sylvia was no one to push around, nor would The Moments be pushed around by her. This would be a problem that would repeat itself a decade later with another group. The original Moments got in the wind. Everyone except for John Morgan, that is. But that wasn't going to stop her. She knew she was hearing something exceptional whenever her favorite session singer, Al Goodman, sang around the studio. And she absolutely loved the voice of a local singer named Billy Brown, who was in a group called the Broadways. She figured if she could put them with John Morgan, she could make them The Moments. It's Billy Brown's falsetto we hear crooning on Love on a Two-Way Street. Love on a Two-Way Street shot The Moments and All Platinum Records into the stratosphere. It reached number 3 on the Billboard charts and stayed there for 15 weeks. Sylvia was on a roll, but she didn't do it by herself. We built this company to give black kids a clean shot, a determined Joe Robinson Sr. told a Billboard reporter in 1972. We're going to teach them engineering and everything else about the record business. While Fat Jack was balancing his various business ventures in Harlem, Sylvia and her husband Joe's company, All Platinum Records, was gaining steam. The Robinsons had a full operation, Fly Ty Williams of Cold Chillin' Records told me. They had 40 employees. They had accounting, promotions, and a mailroom. Joe ran the business side. Sylvia was the creative force.
Ain't nobody just like this, gotta be me. Baby, hit or miss.
But not for nothing, they had a goal. They wanted to own the prestigious Chess and Checker Records catalog, home to rock and roll pioneers Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, Etta James, and Howlin' Wolf. The most vaunted collection in rock music at that time. Niggas weren't thinking of buying publishing catalogs back then, Joey Robinson Jr. defiantly told me in the 2005 phone interview. Once we bought that catalog, we caught hell.
You sit there all by yourself, listen to everybody say, be everybody else, can't you see? You gotta be the, ain't nobody just like this, you gotta be you.
For years, jealous white record execs maliciously plotted for ways to steal it from them. But no matter what obstacles the major labels put in their way, the Robinsons boldly pushed ahead, forging relationships with other black-owned record companies. If at all possible, Joe Sr. told a Billboard reporter in 1975, we should remain independent, and in that way, we can help each other to become stronger. If we stay on the right track, we will all continue to grow. It was in that spirit that Joe and Sylvia became friends, or friendly, with the local black record entrepreneurs at that time, which included the Isley Brothers, who had T-Neck Records, Bobby Robinson, who had Fire and Fury Records, and Paul Winley of Winley Records. Fly Ty Williams, former CEO of Cold Chillin' Records, recalled in the phone interview that Joe Raw was like a teacher, and like a lot of older men of his generation, he said what he had to say, and that was it. In the early 80s, when Sugar Hill Records was the dominant force in rap music, journalist Robert Ford was told that when Joe Sr. came into the room, writers were instructed not to talk. Friends described Joe Sr. as having been disciplined, laid back, shrewd, and soft-spoken. Now, make no mistake about it, Fly Ty tells me, he was fully gangster. Sylvia, on the other hand, was like the hostess with the mostest, Fly Ty continues. She was the Black Elizabeth Taylor. Diamonds just glamorous. You go to her house and anybody might be in her kitchen. Donna Summer, Diana Ross, Roberta Flack might be in there. And they all looked up to her because she was the businesswoman. As successful as Joe and Sylvia were in the late 60s and early 70s, by 1979, a sandstorm of trouble was threatening their empire. That would be until the hand of God stepped in. That, and the latest craze to ever hit the streets of the Bronx.
On the next episode of the Hip Hop Shangri-La, Fat Jack Taylor hangs out with R&B's elite, but alleged trouble with one of those legends puts a temporary halt to Jack's music business dreams.
Well, it's 1